A federal judge in Texas ruling that Obamacare is unconstitutional.
There's no doubt in my mind that this was unconstitutional. You cannot force people to buy health insurance.
The president said this: now Congress must pass a strong law that provides great health care. Mitch and Nancy, get it done.
Budget Director Mick Mulvaney is taking on the job of Chief of Staff on an acting basis for now.
Mick Mulvaney is a workhorse. He knows these spending issues inside and out. Mick's going to do a great job.
Robert Mueller pushed back hard against accusations that the FBI acted improperly with Michael Flynn.
This is entrapment of the highest order, a classic abuse of power.
I will be remembered in history as helping to bring this country back together.
Would anybody really hire him to teach ethics? I doubt that very much.
1 week away from the possible government shutdown. The sticking point continues to be the border wall.
I am more than okay for the president to stick to his guns. You will win. We have your back.
Declared this a great song, which it might be.
It's a good song.
Builds and builds. I kind of like it.
It does. I
does build. You're right, Ed.
You were dancing a little bit. Don't think I didn't see that,
Ed. Anything can happen when Jed is here.
That's
totally
true.
True.
I heard you guys were having too much fun without
news,
me, so I'm
politics.
back.
We got all kinds of stuff.
You're the
Good
fun.
show today.
You're the fun police.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna amp up the fun.
I'm going to amp it up.
the
Little
fun.
dance.
Shout out to Solange, by the way, your mom. We know
look
she's
at
watching.
That. She wants her own show soon, so you guys better watch out.
Is she getting ready for Christmas? I mean, she must be cooking.
The
There must be lasagna.
The lasagna's on its way. And she keeps inviting everybody. As a typical Italian mom, she's like, everybody come to the house. The house isn't that big.
Classic Ed Henry brownie points.
There you go.
Love your mom. Let's get some lasagna.
Wants to be
But it is 10 days until Christmas.
It is.
I'm not good at math, but it's the 15th, and Christmas is the 25th.
I've got a big surprise for Pete tomorrow. You're going to have to stick around for that. But today, a little gift.
No,
I had a Christmas a little
But I already
early.
got a gift today, Ed.
Oh, I
got a gift last night.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, I don't know what your gift is, but this gift is
That's
my
what
gift.
I thought you meant.
That's what I meant.
Obamacare is unconstitutional. That is what a federal judge is ruling in Texas. He says the Affordable Care Act is invalid as open enrollment closes today. What's fascinating about this is that the judge is saying that the whole law, the entire Affordable Care Act, should in fact be torn down because the individual mandate demanding that you buy health insurance is unconstitutional. Quickly, here's what he said.
Yeah.
The district judge, Reed O'Connor, the individual mandate can no longer be fairly read as an exercise of Congress's tax power and is still impermissible under the Interstate Commerce Clause, meaning the individual mandate is unconstitutional. Without it, Congress and the Supreme Court have stated the architectural design fails.
About time. I mean, we've been having this debate for so long. I was so happy to see this. This was completely unconstitutional from the start. And it does put a little bit of pressure, I think, on Republicans now because Democrats have always said, listen, if you're going to criticize the Affordable Care Act, which wound up not being so affordable for everyone, you're going to have to come in with a replacement. So this puts a little pressure on them. And I think it's good. I think they should have to step up to the plate, provide some pro-free market alternatives, and put out there what it looks like to not rely on government for your health care.
So this surprised me completely. I mean, because I felt like the tax, forcing people to buy a product was unconstitutional to begin with.
Right.
That's what they repealed in the individual mandate. I mean, listen, we stood on a bridge in Lexington, Concord in 1775 because of a stamp tax. I shouldn't be told that I have to buy health care, right? Fine. But this judgment from a Texas judge says, that's been repealed. Now the whole law is not valid because the whole law was based on this tax which forced people to buy it.
Yep.
I didn't see it coming. I don't know. Maybe the President of the United States saw it coming as well. But he tweeted last night. He said, as I predicted all along, so Ed, he did see it coming, Obamacare has been struck down as an unconstitutional disaster. Now Congress must pass a strong law that provides great health care and protects pre-existing conditions. Mitch and Nancy get it done. The question is, Ed, Mitch and Nancy.
Well, there you go. It's not Chuck and Nancy. And I think that Jed makes a great point, which is that, you know, Republicans have said, let's tear this law down. They've been trying to do this since it was passed, right? So now they have some responsibility to govern. You have a Republican president. You're going to have a Republican Senate with a bigger majority in 2019. But, as the president points out, the Democrats have a responsibility to govern. They campaigned on health care. They said, and let's find out what they want, because as you know, it's not about saving Obamacare. A lot of Democrats, like your favorite socialist in the Bronx,
Obamacare didn't go far enough.
Bernie Sanders, others, about Medicare for all, which
they did from the
can't afford.
beginning, frankly. This was about Medicare for all from the very beginning.
you're right.
They wanted Obamacare. They knew it was going to have problems. They knew people were going to object, but the hope was that they were going to bring in Medicare for all. And the problem was that when you start doing this government-run health care, people instinctively say, why is the government running this for me? Why is the government managing my personal decisions, what doctors I can go to? And let's not forget that this thing was pushed through with a bunch of lies. They were told they could keep their doctor. They were told their costs were going to go down. So people are finally looking at this. Now, that's not to say Republicans won't have to step up to the plate, like I said, because there are a lot of people that are still struggling with their health care costs and want someone to come in and say, look, how do we promote? You talk about free market all the time. What does that look like?
I'll be honest, it's not clear what Republicans are going to step up with. So Democrats have this very easy, terrible idea of Medicare for all. It's easy to sell, easy to talk about. If you talk about transparency and costs, choice, free market, that's harder to sell. Where this goes from here, I don't know. But we've had so many bad judgments from the Ninth Circuit and other things overtaking what the president has done. Here's one ruling that seems to go in the direction of freedom.
So we're talking about it this morning. We expect you're talking about it, friends at foxnews.com. What should come next? This doesn't immediately affect your coverage. This is likely to go to the Supreme Court. The battle will continue, but this is a major development, and it comes...
No, that's right. Open enrollment still going on.
Right. That possibility of a partial government shutdown is out there, and now the president making a major personnel decision as well.
That's right. President Trump taps White House Budget Director Mick Mulvaney as his new acting chief of staff.
Garrett Tenney is live in our nation's capital with the details. Garrett?
Hey, good morning, y'all. Like a lot of hirings and firings, President Trump made this announcement Friday evening on Twitter, writing, Mick has done an outstanding job while in the administration. I look forward to working with him in this new capacity as we continue to make America great again. A senior administration official cited Mulvaney's experience as a former member of Congress and said the president picked him because they get along. For his part, Mulvaney tweeted, "This is a tremendous honor. I look forward to working with the president and the entire team. It's going to be a great 2019. Now, there is no timeline for how long Mulvaney will serve in this acting capacity, but a senior administration official said the president didn't want to put him in that role permanently, at least not yet. Last night, President Trump also pushed back on the notion that he was struggling to fill what used to be one of the most highly coveted jobs in Washington, tweeting, "For the record, there were many people who wanted to be the White House chief of staff. Mick M will do a great job." Now, earlier this week, you'll remember, the president said he wanted someone who thinks like him as his chief of staff, and with a possible government shutdown looming, the president certainly has that in Mulvaney, who pushed for his fair share of them, as he was one of the founders of the Freedom Caucus. Back to y'all.
Garrett Tenney,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate
Thank you so much.
That point, he's one of the founders of the Freedom Caucus. This is a movement conservative, a true believer. The only thing he's been an outlier on with this White House is on defense spending. He's wanted to cut that budget. A lot of president supporters think it should be bigger. Interesting pick. We'll see.
I like him. He's a budget hawk, and he's not afraid of a shutdown. As we know that the left always throws out these talking points about how the government shutdown is the end of the world. Government shutdown actually means that a lot of the government still stays open, and at some point you have to draw the line and say, you know what, the debt is out of control. It's a national security threat to have your debt that much out of control. So good for him, and I hope he sticks to it.
So big stories we'll be talking about all morning. We also want to talk about something big that's coming Tuesday, pardon me, which is going to be the sentencing of General Michael Flynn. The question now is, did he lie to the FBI or not?
Yeah, that's what the new documents show. The FBI agents didn't think that he did. I mean, in the interview, again, and there's questions about that interview itself. Should he have had a lawyer? What should he have been notified about? But ultimately, the FBI agents, this is what we're getting this morning from Exhibit B of the FBI. They're saying, this is from the FBI, Strzok and redacted, person we don't know, both had the impression that at the time that Flynn was not lying, or did not think he was lying. Flynn struck Strzok as bright. Let's get this, but not profoundly sophisticated.
But it could have been a setup. The FBI did not basically tell him the consequences of lying.
No, they didn't. They bum rushed him.
Hey, we're just coming over. We just want to kind of talk. And they didn't make clear it was part of this full-blown investigation. And so why was Andrew McCabe number 2 at the FBI?
In fairness, though, I mean, some will argue, do you have to be told the consequences of lying to the FBI?
He should have told the truth.
That's something that you should kind of know. All of us sitting here, if we got, will be held accountable.
This was a court filing, and Mueller's team, Bob Mueller, the special counsel, his team is saying that regardless of what happened with the FBI, quote, a sitting national security advisor, former head of an intelligence agency, retired lieutenant general, and 33-year vet of the armed forces knows he should not be
case,
Right.
it's a complete and absolute double standard. I also look at what Strzok said. Flynn is bright, but not profoundly sophisticated. Do you read the Strzok?
Towards Trump officials, Trump voters, they talked about how people at Walmart smelled.
Not sophisticated.
It was ridiculous.
It's also a very
It's so
bizarre personal.
You mean he's straightforward? He served his country. He believes in something. He's not some foo-foo elite like you and thinks he's saving the country by entrapping people like him.
Tell us how you really feel about him.
I will. Sebastian Gorka will say what I want to say. Listen.
The fact that he misremembered the content or one specific element of a phone conversation, if that's a crime, then every single person watching this show could commit a felony when they forget what they said to somebody. So this is entrapment of the highest order, and the fact that they had the transcript tells you everything that you need to know. Also, the two agents who did that interview said that they didn't think he was lying, and then the 302s disappear for 8 months.
Yeah, so
this is a classic abuse of power.
So big question whether this, what appears to be FBI misconduct, will lead Judge Sullivan, who has been highly critical in this case about how the government has operated. Will he throw out the charges against General Flynn, or will he keep the charges but basically have leniency and not give him any jail time? We're going to see on Tuesday. Big story. We're talking about it. What do you think about how the FBI handled General Flynn's case? That part of the special counsel probe. Friends at FoxNews.com.
Yeah, well, let us know. We have to turn now to your headlines. Police are urging the fiancé of a missing woman to come forward. They believe Patrick Frazee is the last person to see Kelsey Burrith after she dropped their daughter off to him before vanishing. Authorities are calling the disappearance suspicious as they are searching Frazee's Colorado property for any clues. She was last seen on a surveillance camera walking into a grocery store with their daughter on Thanksgiving Day. A decorated Afghan war veteran is charged with murder after he committed on TV to killing a suspected Taliban bomb maker.
Did you kill the Taliban bomb maker?
Yes.
That's Major Matthew Goldstein speaking with Fox News' Bret Baier back in 2016. The former Green Beret was talking about a situation in 2010 when 2 Marines in his unit were killed by hidden explosives. His team tracked down and killed the suspect, but he was not on a list of targets U.S. forces were cleared to kill. Goldstein could face the death penalty. Johnson & Johnson stock takes a $23 billion plunge after a damaging report goes public. A Reuters story claims the company knew its baby powder contained asbestos for decades. Wow. The embattled business has faced thousands of lawsuits alleging the baby powder causes cancer. Johnson & Johnson calls the report an absurd conspiracy theory. Wow. And those are your headlines.
Hear a lot more about that.
Yeah, we will. Well, the battle over President Trump's border wall is heating up in Washington, D.C. Our next guest is a former Israeli special ops member who's seen firsthand that walls do work. He explains why. Next.
And is it time to rebrand Santa? Some people want him to carry an iPhone, use Amazon Prime to deliver gifts, and be gender neutral. Really?
Wow.
He is fired up about this. We're going to talk about it straight ahead.
She's Santa.
Also, Pete likes Gossip Girl, apparently.
It's beginning to look a lot like...
Seen walls work. That's the facts. We've seen that in Yuma. We've seen that in San Diego, El Paso, Nogales. Where we have wall, that illegal flow has dropped somewhere between 90 to 95%. That is substantial.
Well, our next guest agrees that walls work. A former member of Israel's Special Operations Counterterrorist Unit says a border wall slashed illegal immigration and terrorism in Israel to virtually zero. Aaron Cohen joins us now to explain. Aaron, you saw that debate in the Oval Office. Chuck Schumer saying walls don't work, they're not needed. You've been on the ground in Israel. Talk to us about, well, do walls work?
Well, I don't. Well, first of all, I think Chuck Schumer needs a wall in front of him when he's talking about things he has no idea about. Here's what. First of all, it's good to see everybody. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Here's the thing: a wall. It was stripped away of all the political nonsense and all of the emotion that's associated with a wall. Is just a divider between good and bad. That's the way we look at it in Israel. It's brick and mortar, and it's designed. It was designed originally after an onslaught of terrorism that Israel faced in the mid-90s. It was probably one of the worst waves of terror in the country. There were over 450 civilian casualties within a period of about a year and a half, 2 years, coming out of the 90s. And Israel said, listen, we're fed up with this. The barriers between the West Bank and between actual Israel was a very loose fence, and it was the same thing with Gaza. And Israel said, and the general said, look, we've had enough. Why aren't we physically putting a layer, and remember, security's layers, why aren't we physically putting a layer that can be patrolled, monitored by surveillance, by actual Border Patrol units, and let's see what happens. So they built this wall. It was a little contentious in certain parts of the West Bank, but it ended up reducing the amount of terror attacks from 75 the prior year by the end of 2000 down to less than a dozen. The fact is, it works.
So what is the argument against? So what's the argument against that layer on our southern border?
There's a very weird double standard here in the United States when it comes to the southern border. I don't know what the deal is. I grew up in Los Angeles. When I was 18, I volunteered, moved to Israel, served in this unit for 7, 8 years, came back to the U.S. There's always been this weird contention. It's almost a California double standard. And because California is on the far left portion of that border, I feel like it's just kept the security issue stomped on, and the illegal immigration has just continued to fester. The difference between these, what happened in Israel, ultimately after we saw that the wall was extremely effective against terrorism, by around 2008, 2009, Israel faced a very aggressive index of illegal population from various Saharan and African countries. And so Israel went, why aren't we doing the same thing with the Egyptian border? And so, which was where it was extremely porous. And so Israel extended the wall over onto the Egyptian side, on the Egyptian Gaza side, and we went from 50,000 illegal West African immigrants who were spiking the crime in Tel Aviv to less than a dozen illegal immigrants today. So
55,000 to less than a dozen. That strikes me as something that works. Aaron Cohen, you know of which you speak. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Guys, thank you so much.
You got it. Well, President Trump's former attorney Michael Cohen speaking out after being sentenced to prison time. But do voters believe him? The brand new Dials coming up next.
One of the hopes that I have out of the punishment that I've received, I will be remembered in history as helping to bring this country back together.
Good morning again. Some quick headlines. This is a live look in Paris. Guess what? The protests are heating up for a fifth weekend. Nearly 8,000 officers, 14 armored vehicles patrolling city streets. Protesters angry over low wages and tax inequality. France is now investigating, though, whether Russia, yes, Russia, is urging the Yellow Jacket movement online after reports linking the Kremlin to social media accounts promoting unrest in Paris. We're going to hear about this one. And Australia is now formally recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Sort of. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison says he won't move its embassy out of Tel Aviv until there's a peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians.
So, bold move or not. All right, well, former Trump attorney Michael Cohen defending his credibility in his first interview since being sentenced to 3 years in prison for crimes including lying to Congress. So do the voters actually believe him?
Here to bring us the Dials, president and partner at Maslansky & Partners, Lee Carter.
Great to be here. Thanks so much.
All right, so what do you have for us today?
Well, Cohen did an interview, and I think it's just, let's hear from him, and we'll see how the voters react.
He was trying to hide what you were doing, correct?
Correct.
And he knew it was wrong?
Of course.
And he was doing that to help his election?
You have to remember at what point in time that this matter came about, 2 weeks or so before the election, post the Billy Bush comments. So yes, he was very concerned about how this would affect the election.
You can see there, nobody really liked what he was having to say, but you could see independents, Republican, that yellow and red line, neither one of them are really finding him all that credible. Democrats gave him a B overall. They said, look, I believe what he's saying. Nobody really likes this guy, but it's having an impact on the Democrats, not as much, though, on the independents and Republicans.
Well, you know who likes Michael Cohen? Michael Cohen. And this is what he had to say. Listen.
he doesn't understand the system. And it's sad because the country has never been more divisive. And one of the hopes that I have out of the punishment that I've received, as well as the cooperation that I have given, I will be remembered in history as helping to bring this country back together.
Remembered in history.
He will be remembered in history. And you can see there that independents and independents and Republicans really took a dip there when he said, I will be remembered in history. Like, don't give yourself any credit for what you did here. You did some terrible things, and now you're coming forward and admitting it.
So they both give him an F.
They both gave him an F.
And Democrats managed to give him a B. I would think it would be lower for that.
But you know what? He didn't change anybody's mind of what he did.
Yeah.
Democrats were already likely to believe what he had to say. They're glad that he came forward, and they think this is all going to be a free-for-all. Independents and Republicans not so sure this is going to make any difference at all.
But the president would potentially be more worried if independents were saying, this guy's kind of credible, but independents are giving him an F on both of those answers. Interesting. Let's hear from the president and what voters are thinking about how he's reacting to this. Watch.
He is a lawyer. He represents a client. I never directed him to do anything incorrect or wrong. And he understands that. Look, he did some bad things unrelated to me, maybe related to his other clients. I wasn't his only client. He had other clients. He did some bad things. And income tax evasion, I heard about taxi cab, I heard about a lot of things. Now, I'm not reading about any of that stuff, because what he did is he made a deal to embarrass me.
So what do they think about taxi cab confessions?
So you can see the Republicans gave him a B. They're pretty much buying what Trump's got to say. Mostly. Independents not sure what to buy. I think this is sinking in a little bit with them, and they're not really buying what Trump has to say. Democrats are saying, you know what? I think you did
But
it.
independents give him a C, whereas they're giving Michael Cohen an F. So that's
right.
kind of interesting.
Interesting how many times Republicans and independents fell in line
They really
throughout.
They really do, and for the most part during the 2016 cycle, that's how it went. There's been a lot of there's been a lot of split in recent times, and now you're seeing it on this particular issue. I think Republicans and independents are in line.
Do you feel like there's been time and time again we've been told this will hurt the president, his approval? Do you see this with independents?
I think a little bit, but it's not going to be this crisis that everybody's talking about at this point. I mean, if we were going to see some more things happening, perhaps, but I really don't see a whole lot of movement in people's opinions. I think people are pretty much decided, I think the president's guilty, I think the president's innocent, and I'm going to support him through it.
Most importantly, have you done any dials on the karaoke that Pete and I did a couple days ago? The voters went.
Come later in the show, we'll have it ready.
Viewers are going to be able to
I'm
weigh
looking
in in a
forward to
moment.
that.
Don't dial it. Don't dial it. Lee, thank you very much.
Thanks, Lee.
Appreciate it. All right, well, Mike Pence's faith being targeted by the left again. This time, an incoming Democratic congresswoman, one of the first Somali Muslim congresswomen, mocking the VP, the backlash she's now facing this morning.
And Christmas is getting closer, so Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's are here with some last-minute gift ideas. Woo, coming up next.
Yeah, looking great. Fox and Friends party this week, getting ready for Christmas. You can see some of our wonderful producers and Pete, one of our great anchors, right there.
Oh, thanks for using great. That's a little bit of a hyperbole.
Sam,
we had a good time, though. We know how to do a Christmas party.
It was fun.
Jedediah was there, but she left a little early.
I was there. Yeah, I had to take my mom to an appointment, but it was good times.
Did you miss the?
I missed it.
You missed the key part.
I did.
Of the entire party, so we wanted you to see
I'm ready
it.
now.
Please present it.
How did it actually happen, Ed?
Well, how it happened was we didn't do anything. Pete decided, picked the song, texted it to me and said, we're singing this. I'm like, maybe. I arrived in New York from D.C. a couple days ago. Literally 2 or 3 very senior people say, I heard you and Pete are doing a song. I'm like, how many people has he told?
Listen, I think
it's
you
true.
guys...
I announced it on the air.
Made it a reality.
Like, I think Ed and I, we have to do it. And he's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, you got to get up on stage with me.
When are you guys taking it on the road? I could be a backup dancer. I think this is going to be something good.
There's a reason why they looped 5 seconds of the song over and over and over again.
Because you didn't have the backup backup
We
dancer.
could do a live
Like that.
reenactment.
We didn't have a lot.
On the show.
We could.
Here,
We could.
Ed, what do you think?
Ed, what do you think?
We might, maybe later in the show. That sounds like a no.
Oh.
See, I was hesitating.
Probably
tried.
not happening. It was a good time, though. We have an awesome team here at Fox and Friends, and it was a ton of fun.
It really was, and we've got a great team.
Can we
here.
talk about Santa Claus, though?
Oh, yeah, let's-
Because now
Yeah.
people are saying that Santa Claus should be modernized. 23% say that Santa should have an iPhone. 20% he should have tattoos. 21% should go on a diet.
No, he's fat.
17% should be gender neutral. 11% he should be a woman. And 70% should remain a man. So what do you guys think?
Well,
I
this-
kind of like my Santa old school.
Just the way he is. Yeah, this is a survey. People answered questions, and they said those insane things. Yes, I mean, why are we changing Santa?
I already think he's modern because, you know, the beard is very in right now. So I feel like Santa's gone trendy.
He was ahead of the curve.
He was ahead of the curve. There
it's
you
now
go.
kind of retro, and it's like Santa was cool way back when, and it's true. Like Santa gets better and better. It's
First of
just
all,
sort of like,
he's stocky. He's not fat. How do
He's
you
big
know that he
boned.
doesn't have tattoos? He wears the big suit. He might have tattoos. You don't know. Why would Santa ever go on a diet?
No.
Santa can fly around the world in 24 hours and deliver gifts to everyone.
cookies.
He
He's
doesn't
supposed to
eat
eat
at times.
Exactly. How's he going to eat the cookies?
What are you going to do? Milk and cookies? What are you going to eat? Vegan cookies?
Gluten-free cookies, maybe.
We could leave a kale salad.
We could leave a kale salad that Santa
like
would
those.
promptly
I
smack
do.
over and say, "Where are my cookies?"
So what do you think? Should we
Yeah, we want to hear
modernize
from
Santa?
you.
Should we stop leaving him chocolate chip cookies so he goes on a diet? Should we leave him a kale salad? We want to get your reaction. I feel like we're going to get some fun.
And if Santa got a tattoo, he might want to have one already. What would it look like?
What would
it might say
be?
"We the People."
It would be a
might.
tattoo of Pete, obviously.
Well, preferably. If he's listing his naughty list on his back.
And do you want us to sing later in the show? I don't know, but I don't know if I want to put it out there. We're friends at Fox News.
Backup dancer. All right. We are turning now to your headlines. Homeland Security's Inspector General is now investigating the death of a 7-year-old migrant girl who died after being taken into custody. Officials say the Guatemalan girl had not eaten or drank anything for several days while crossing illegally into the U.S. with her father.
I want to make it very clear that as agents, we are sick and tired of being blamed for these types of tragedies. The people that should be blamed for these types of tragedies are the drug cartels that are orchestrating these smuggling events.
The child was flown to a children's hospital in El Paso, Texas, where she later died from dehydration and shock. Take a look at this. Federal investigators are looking into what slammed into a commercial plane in mid-air. The nose of an Air Mexico jet significantly damaged in a possible drone collision before landing in Tijuana. No one was injured, and the plane was able to land normally. This could turn out to be the first time a drone hit a large jetliner ever. A Democrat is under fire after mocking the vice president's Christian faith online. Congresswoman-elect Ilhan Omar tweeting this photo of Vice President Pence saying, quote, "Jesus take the wheel, #border wall." The picture coming from a meeting earlier this week between President Trump and Democratic leaders over the border wall funding. No one wants to share the big stage with Maroon 5, it seems. The band is having trouble finding guest stars for the Super Bowl halftime show in Atlanta, according to Variety. Artists like Rihanna and Pink reportedly don't want to be associated with the NFL over the league's anthem controversy. The NFL has not yet announced Maroon 5 as the official act. And those are your headlines.
Thanks, Jed.
Thank you. All right, well, the countdown to Christmas has begun, and Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's has deals you don't want to miss.
Plus, there is still time to head to one of their stores to actually meet Santa. And Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, Alan Treadwell, our old friend, is here with the hottest last-minute deals. Everybody is trying to shop. Everyone is trying to figure this out. You can do a little bit online, but you can also bricks and mortar still alive and well, especially Bass Pro Shops. So what can people get?
That's right. Well, you know, Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, we believe in the power of Christmas. And, you know, taking it back to that simpler time when families celebrated the holidays together. And that's exactly what Santa's Wonderland is all about, those traditional family Christmases where you can go there and get your free photo with Santa at any Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's across the country. You know, and I'm a brand new dad. I have a little 8-month-old daughter, and I was able to take her.
Got a picture. She's right there.
Yeah, take her to Santa's Wonderland.
Beautiful. What's her name?
Her name's Bremy.
Nice. Bremy, beautiful
Yep.
name.
Yep, and she got to meet the big guy herself. So that's what it's all about, making those memories, you know.
I
And then we
paid
got-
$20 for a Santa photo.
They're free at Bass
Free
Pro
is
and
way
Cabela's.
better.
That's
Way
right.
better. I love it.
What do you got for us today?
So we have
This
all
sounds
kinds of
great.
awesome gifts.
so warm, too.
We do, yeah, and that's a lot of this stuff is warm. It's cold outside. These are Natural Reflections and Redhead house slippers. They're up to 33% off right now.
Wow.
Going on down the line, we have these Redhead Sherpa fleece lined jackets. This is great for outside working, playing, whatever you want to do.
Super
they're awesome.
warm, and guys, they're so soft on the inside. Wow.
And we were looking at these pants a little bit earlier. They're fleece and flannel line. You talk about something great for the wintertime.
Wow.
Less than $20
So Jen
right
said
now.
she likes to actually
Less than
buy.
$20.
Yeah.
You like to buy men's clothes.
I buy men's clothes a lot because they're more comfortable, and I just wear them big. Honest, I really do.
You know,
I do.
There you go.
I don't know about the pants, but the flannels for sure.
That's cool. Wow, they're
These are
sweatpants
great.
on the inside, jeans on the outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wish
They're
they made
wonderful.
those in women's.
Saying.
Talk about this gear bag. 'Cause
Yeah,
this
what's
is kind
that?
of cool.
Yeah, so this is the Cabela's gear bag. It is $12.99. I mean, you talk about the perfect gift for somebody you don't know what to get for. They can put anything in it, whether they're going fishing, hunting, just
Or you
using it
could
around.
throw your iPad in it. You do some tech stuff. if you're
Absolutely.
just, family
Absolutely
stuff.
could.
That's
You
great.
absolutely could. And if you don't know what to get them, our gift cards are always a great idea. And our gift cards have been rated #1 by Scripps for over 10 years. That's because they never expire. You
Now-
can use them online, in our stores, at our restaurants, Big Cedar or Big Cypress Lodges.
You guys are giving away a truck.
We are. That's something we're very excited about. What a better Christmas gift than a brand new truck. We're giving away a Toyota Tacoma TRD. These trucks are absolutely awesome. They're luxurious, rough, anything that you can throw at them. And actually, this truck has been the best-selling truck in its class for over a decade.
So you go to BassProShops.com.
Yep, you can register online, or you can register in our stores across the country. Yep.
You guys
Sure
got to
can.
make these in women's for me. I'm excited.
Alan
Maybe they
Treadwell,
will.
thanks so much. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you, sir.
Merry
Appreciate
Christmas.
it. Good stuff.
All right. Got a whole lot more coming up. From prison to politician, the big announcement from the former Trump campaign aide, George Papadopoulos. You won't believe it.
Plus, they've both been floated as possible 2020 White House contenders, but could we be seeing a Biden and Beto Democrat ticket? The new rumor now swirling.
Biden.
Welcome back. A couple of quick political headlines for you. Joe Biden, former vice president, considering Beto O'Rourke as his hypothetical potential VP pick if he makes a 2020 White House run. The former vice president reportedly floating the idea of a younger running mate to ease concerns about his age. Biden would be 77 years old on Election Day, making him the oldest president if he won. Wonder if Beto would take that. And former Trump campaign aide George Papadopoulos, he's running for Congress. The news coming just days after serving 2 weeks in prison for lying to the FBI about his contacts connected to Russia. He's seeking a run in California's Orange County House District. Ed, I think Joe Biden loses. Maybe Papadopoulos wins.
All right, we're going to let you throw that out there, and we'll see. We'll let the voters decide. Taxpayers on the hook. Special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia probe costing a whopping $25 million so far, still going. This as new documents reveal the tactics the FBI took that were questionable when they interviewed General Michael Flynn way back in January 2017. Here to react, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Let's get right down to it. There was yet another document dump. It seems like every Friday there's something coming from the special counsel's office. This is a response to what Flynn's team had said. What's the most important thing you took away from these documents?
The documents confirm that General Flynn's attorneys were right in raising questions about the way Flynn was approached and questioned. It confirms that the FBI agents, including Peter Strzok, didn't see any indications of lying by Flynn. In fact, they believed he was telling the truth, and that he believed he was telling the truth. And on top of that, you had Andrew McCabe, the corrupt number 2 of the FBI, who had been fired for lying since, call up Flynn and say, you know what, you don't want to involve White House counsel here because we're going to have to bring the Justice Department in, which was a bunch of malarkey. And the idea that he did this to the National Security Advisor is just unbelievable to me. And now we know whose idea was this? James Comey.
Yeah,
so you had this corrupt duo of Comey and McCabe targeting Flynn for what? He talked to the Russian ambassador's incoming National Security Advisor. There was no reason to go after him, but to target him and to get a scalp as they embarked on their anti-Trump campaign.
Tom, to your point, James Comey did this interview several days back here in New York City and sort of boasted about the fact, I wouldn't have been able to get away with this in the George W. Bush administration or the Obama administration. They were more organized, but there was chaos at the beginning of the Trump administration. So instead of going through the White House counsel's office, we sort of just sprung this on Flynn. How could he say that?
What an outrageous hypocrite. This is the same man who complained about the White House talking to him and the president talking to him directly about cases because, quote, there were procedures about how the White House was supposed to communicate with the FBI and Justice Department. And it goes to show that the rules didn't apply to Donald Trump when it came to targeting him. And they were holding him out to a standard that they held no one else out to.
This is what the president and his attorney Rudy Giuliani have been saying, that there's two standards of justice. This fires a lot of people up. I've got less than a minute, Tom. Bottom line, do you think there's a chance that Judge Sullivan just says the FBI acted improperly here? I'm throwing out the charges against Flynn.
Oh, I think he ought to do that. I think he needs to initiate proceedings, throw out the charges based on government misconduct, and protect General Flynn from being prosecuted anymore in these issues. And if he doesn't do it, President Trump can't pardon Flynn soon enough.
All right, Tom Fitton has been all over the story from the beginning. Appreciate your insight this morning.
You're welcome.
All right. Meanwhile, the border wall fight, that is heating up in Washington as well. But will the president actually take the fight for $5 billion into 2019, maybe delay this battle past Christmas? And 2 years after Navy SEAL Charlie Keating was killed fighting ISIS, our friend Emily Compagno gets to honor him while living out her own racing dream. She takes us behind the wheel next.
With every lap that we raced today, we raised money for his family and the United States Veterans Corps. It's an honor to drive for your son.
Our friend Emily Compagno is doing something very special. She lived out her race car driver dreams for a wonderful cause.
Emily taking part in a 24-hour race to support veterans in need and honor fallen Navy SEAL Charlie Keating, who was killed while fighting ISIS in 2016.
Former federal attorney Emily Compagno joins us now. Thank you so much for being here, Emily.
You guys, thank you so much.
Tell us about this. This looks like an amazing experience that you had.
It was an incredible experience, a total blast, and most importantly, an honor. Check out the package. It is race day in Georgia. We are here at Road Atlanta for the 24 Hours of Lemons race, and my team is the U.S. Veterans Corps. As you can see, it's raining, and I'm a little nervous, but I'm honored to be a part of something raising money for these special forces. Let's get started. Andy Ladner, he's the founder of the United States Veterans Corps. What happens the more laps we do here?
So this is not only just for our missions, but it's also for the fallen. So each one of our drivers, including you, are driving for someone that was killed in combat operations. You can either make a donation per lap or one blanket donation.
Tell me more about your charity.
U.S. Veterans Corps, we do food, toys, house is the easiest way to say it. The biggest one we have is Operation Coming Home. We're on House 19 right now. In fact, one of our drivers, who's House 17, was wounded in combat in Afghanistan. He is going to drive for Laps of Honor also.
Anthony Von Cannon, U.S. Army veteran, the recipient of the 17th Hero Home.
This is a little bit different from what we normally do. He asked if I wanted to race a car. I'm like, heck yeah, I wanted to come down there and watch anyway, but yes, of course, I'll try to drive it.
Receiving the 17th Hero Home, what was that like?
Incredible. Just a huge blessing. It was right on time with our family. They parachuted the keys in like they did and just really changed our lives.
This is my teammate, Eric Stedner. He is a retired U.S. Army Ranger. All right, Eric, you're the pro. What are your race tips for me? I'm starting to freak out. It's becoming real.
Just relax. Keep going straight forward.
Anthony, last words for me.
Have fun.
Nice.
Go fast.
All right, you guys, let's go get geared up. Super excited. Time to go. With every lap that we raced today, we raised money
for Gold Star mom, Krista Keating Joseph. This is Charlie Keating IV's mom. He was a Navy SEAL who fell in northern Iraq on May 3rd, 2016. And we just learned that the crew, all these special ops guys that have put this on, they knew your son. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it makes my day. I got here and I heard stories that I haven't heard before about Charlie. And he was just such an exceptional person, and I'm proud of what he did for his life. And I'm proud of you.
Oh my God, thank you.
I can't believe you're doing this.
I was thinking of your son. I was scared at times, and I thought that any type of fear I have pales in comparison to the greater cause and honoring your son's memory and the sacrifice he made for our nation. It's an honor to drive for your son. Really, thank you
It's
for
an
being
honor
here.
to see you do it.
Oh, that's sweet.
Wonderful
Fantastic.
cause. So relax and go fast.
Yeah, it was really great directions at that time. So bottom line, this charity, it was started by 3 paratroopers, and everyone is special ops, and they have different arms, and one of them, as you saw, is building homes for wounded veterans. It's an incredible organization. It was such an honor to drive for them. The Keating family is incredibly generous. She's written a series of children's books on behalf of her son, and it's called Big Hearted Charlie, and she inscribed it to me to Big Hearted Emily. There's no end to their generosity, and really these guys are heroes.
Relax but go fast. It's like doing the show.
Exactly.
Go to foxandfriends.com to donate to the U.S. Veterans Corps under Team Emily. Emily, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Awesome.
Thanks, you guys.
Great stuff. All right, coming up, we've got Dan Bongino. You know him, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, Geraldo Rivera, all here live on this Saturday edition.
Yeah, I'm thankful for the free